And let's go! Another day has arrived, and it's another day for a clash of titans between two great Batman classic movies. Last time we had Batman 89 versus Batman Returns. So today we're gonna flip the coin and see the other side. Batman Forever versus Batman and Robin. And I know you couldn't wait for this day to come. So if just like me you also love the Joe Schumacher carnival full of lights and neon with bat nipples and bat credit card, this is the right video for you. And just like the last time, we're gonna have 7 categories to compare these two titans. Best villains, best Batman, and this time is gonna be very interesting because we have different actors playing Batman, which was not the case last time. Best action, best Gotham City, best soundtrack, best story, and finally best ending. So let's go straight to it, let's not waste time, starting with best villains. And the interesting thing is that now we have a equal fight, because last time we had a pair versus one solo villain, that was the Joker. This time we have Two-Face and Riddler versus Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. Let's start with Batman Forever and arguably the main villain of the movie, that is Riddler from Jim Carrey. And I absolutely love this version of the Riddler. It's easy to consider Jim Carrey's overacting as too much, but at the same time, we gotta remember right away the context of Joel Schumacher's Batman movies. And it's all camp, 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 with little inserts of dramatic moments, but the villains are all over the top, and this is part of the fun here. I watched this movie as a kid for the first time when I was 7, and I remember watching Jim Carrey's performance as the Riddler and just laughing all the time. I mean, from Edward's Enigma to the whole transformation into the Riddler is his show. Joel Schumacher said in an interview that at the time, he had never seen an actor act with his whole body just like Jim Carrey does. And it's absolutely true, there's no one moment wasted on screen with this character being boring or still. And I guess there are moments that he is a little too annoying, but I think this is the point of the character. He is a guy who was jealous of Bruce Wayne, and his dream is to be seen, to be reverenced by everybody, just like Bruce Wayne is. So I get to the point here. Now going to Harvey Dent Two-Face, this is where we have the problem, because it's no secret that Tommy Lee Jones' performance is too over the top for this character, when it would be a lot better if he was the counterpoint to Jim Carrey's Riddler. Almost like the good cop, bad cop kind of scenario, but with a pair of villains. Plus, Two-Face is a character that should represent duality. So maybe this is a script issue, but at the same time, the character should have had nuance to show different sides of the same person, which is something that Two-Face never had in any live-action version. The only thing I really like in this movie about Two-Face is that he has these 2 girlfriends, Sugar and Spice, played by Debbie Mazar and Drew Barrymore, that besides representing the 2 sides of the character Two-Face, they are also super hot. And every time I watch Batman Forever, I can never decide which one is hotter. So in a little tangent, guys, please comment below which one do you think is hotter from this pair. Now going to Batman and Robin, we have Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze. And to be honest, I don't really think there's too much difference between acting in these two. Mr. Freeze has some elements taken from Batman the Animated Series, more specifically the backstory from the episode Heart of Ice, episode that I already made a commentary here in the channel, so please check it out later. So there is a dramatic element here because of his whole story regarding his wife and the search of a cure for her disease, but we are talking about the legendary Arnold Schwarzenegger, so we also have all the Freeze puns, like, "You're not gonna take me to the cooler," or "Let's kick some ice," and my favorite, "Cool party." So it is all about camp with this character as well. Plus he also has a girlfriend that shows up in only one scene, played by the gorgeous Vivica A. Fox, But unfortunately for her little screen time, she doesn't compare to Sugar and Spice. And of course, let's talk about the one person in this cast that truly understood the assignment. Poison Ivy, played by Uma Thurman. This is a character that I didn't really care as a child, of course, even though I got a huge crush on Poison Ivy because of Uma Thurman. But the more and more I rewatched Batman and Robin becoming an adult, the more and more I fell in love with this character. I absolutely adore how Uma Thurman's performance is so over the top and malicious. She's basically the Jim Carrey of this movie, but with much more charm and beauty, of course. Of course, we could also add Bane to this pair of villains, making a trio, actually. But the only elements we can talk about him is the fact that he is a goon for Poison Ivy, and that he's a master of disguise. And also we can appreciate that he's a little more comic book accurate. But I guess to truly decide which pair will be the winner in this category, we must analyze which villain plot works better, because in Batman Forever we have the Riddler that has a very interesting arc, with him being this ignored, poor, crazy guy that wants to be just like his idol. And after Bruce Wayne turns him down, his motive is all about revenge and jealousy, which gave the inspiration for many other copycats in superhero movies like Iron Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Wonder Woman 2. So this character was very important for the superhero genre. At the same time, he has the most amazing scenes in this movie in terms of comedy, because we have him trying so hard to be a copy of Bruce Wayne, even asking Drew Barrymore how is his mole, just like Val Kilmer. And then on the other side of the coin, no pun intended, we have Harvey Dent that his motive is very simple. Simply kill Batman for revenge. Which I guess is an interesting idea, because we have one villain that wants revenge against Bruce Wayne, and another villain that wants revenge against Batman. But the problem of Two-Face is that his main goal is only this. So when the Riddler takes hold of the plot with his brain machine and the whole promise of delivering Batman's true identity so that Harvey can kill him, he becomes this villain that just follows the Riddler along for the ride, and when he finally gets the chance to kill Batman or Bruce Wayne in his own mansion, the Riddler orders him not to kill him, which could be a way to create an interesting conflict between the two villains right there. Instead of that, we have only Harvey going, "Brah, brah," and obeying the order just like a dog. And this is the problem between this pair. Now in Batman and Robin, at least there is a little more synchrony between the villains, because Mr. Freeze's initial plan is very simple. He wants to freeze Gotham and then ask for a ransom to have the millions to complete the research and find a cure. Okay, I'll stop it. But his plan is very simple, because he just wants to find a cure for the disease of his wife. And then we have Poison Ivy that got the hots for him, no pun intended again. But since she is this villain who wants to basically annihilate all humans from the planet and repopulate it with plants, she is the one who manipulates Freeze to destroy the world so she can restart the whole thing with her Garden of Evil, just like Adam and Eve. And I love this whole apocalyptic and diabolical plan. That being said, the first point, that is bat nipples, goes to Batman and Robin. Now let's talk about the best Batman, and I guess here we can talk about Val Kilmer and George Clooney's portrayals, but we can also include their relationships with Chris O'Donnell's Robin in here. When we talk about Bruce Wayne in both of these movies, we are basically comparing apples and oranges. Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is a guy that is still very tortured by his past, the murder of his parents. He is still haunted by the guilt, not only of the death of his parents, but also what he caused to Harvey Dent in the backstory of the movie, failing to stop an attack that happened during a trial where a mob boss threw acid in Harvey's face, deforming him. And when we have Dick Grayson's parents die in the circus, his whole guilt is only increased by seeing himself in this kid now. And I love this section of the movie where we have this relationship between Dick and Bruce, with the whole idea of Grayson wanting revenge and Bruce being the one who already had his revenge in the past, which clearly refers to the Joker in the first movie, trying to be this figure of help to the boy instead of incentivizing him in this dark path. Even as a kid watching this movie, I remember thinking, wow, this is very deep. With Bruce telling Dick that only revenge will not satisfy him. After that, he will look for more faces in the dark and realize that his life has become revenge only. And I think the best portrayals of Batman and Robin's relationship in any media is about this element. Now in Batman and Robin, we have a much more brotherly relationship between Batman and Robin, with they bickering about responsibility and not falling for how hot Poison Ivy is. Everything is much more light, and that is by intention, because I remember George Clooney explaining in interviews that by this time in the franchise, the whole idea of Bruce Wayne being haunted by his parents' murder was already overused, so it was time for this guy to become a little more light and comfortable in his own skin. Plus, the plot of Batman Forever was him figuring out his own demons and coming in terms with his guilt. And this would be much more clear in the Schumacher cut of the movie that we all hope that we receive one day. But you know, George Clooney is right. It was 4 movies already, and this guy had already accepted a new family in his life in the characters of Robin and now Batgirl. So I don't blame him for this vision for the character, even though his portrayal of Batman and George Clooney, Bruce Wayne, is basically the same. So there's nothing very interesting in there, but I can buy this idea that he is a lighter guy. He has this girl in his life now that, besides being very hot, is a serious relationship. And this whole lighter tone to the character will play a role in the ending of the movie that we're gonna talk later. And just so we don't forget, let's of course compare now the suits of both characters. And both have nipples, we all know that, but I gotta say right away, the Batman Forever's Batsuit has always been my favorite Batsuit from all the first 4 movies. I love the muscles in it, how it fits perfectly Val Kilmer's body, especially the cowl in his head. I also love the fins on the sides of his gloves. I think they are the best fins of all the movies, especially because they look like blades that can actually cut something. Now, talking about the Sonar suit, I'm not a huge fan of it, especially because it is too over-designed and it has too much silver in it. I guess it looks very cool as a toy, but I would prefer that it was a black suit, just like this picture that I'm showing now. It would be very cool to have this huge bat symbol covering the whole chest. Now, the Batman and Robin bat suits, I don't like it so much because it has this tone of blue over the whole suit. For me, a bat suit has to be black, 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 and black. And the freeze suit that they use in the end also doesn't do much for me because, again, it's too over-designed. And taking all these points into consideration, both the personas of Bruce Wayne, their relationships with their Robins, and their bat suits, everything in Batman Forever is much stronger, so bat nipples for it. Now talking about the action in these movies, and this is an element that from the Tim Burton movies to the Joel Schumacher ones, it improved a lot in my opinion. Both movies have great fights against goons. They are all camp and have some comedy moments in them, I know, but I think combining them with the vehicle chase scenes, everything is much more bombastic in here. In Batman Forever, we start with a bang, having that whole scene where Two-Face is stealing the bank vault, and also the helicopter scene that ends in the Lady Gotham statue is really good. Then we have a Batmobile chase in the middle of the movie that ends with the Batmobile going up a wall of a building with a rope. I also love this scene. The party scene of Nigma-Tech with Batman fighting the goons, and then going up the building and jumping from it in a huge fall that ends with him in the subterraneans of the street, which we have Two-Face exploding the whole gas leak and making Batman cross the fire in a fantastic shot that, according to the screenwriters of Batman Forever, Joel Schumacher ordered them to create any scene where Batman crossed a wall of fire. Another evidence that this man was a genius. And then, of course, we have the climatic scene with Batman and Robin going to the Claw Island, where they face the Riddler, using the Batwing and the Batboat. And talking about the vehicles in specific, I already mentioned in my video about Batmobiles that I'm not a huge fan of the Batmobile in Batman Forever, but there are some cool ideas in its design. I also think that the Batwing and the Batbolt, they look fine in the movie, but when I look at them in a design of a painting or in a toy, I actually like them a lot. I understand that they tried to evolve the design of the Batwing from the 89 movie to something more sleek, and I like it. I like it a lot. So all these action scenes are great in this movie, but boy, Batman and Robin, this is where they go crazy, and I love it. Starting by the museum scene, and then ending with Mr. Freeze's rocket going to the sky, and then Batman and Robin sky surfing, flying down after Freeze among the buildings of Gotham. This is amazing! I'm not joking, I really love this scene, and I love the money shot of the rocket exploding behind them. But we have much more. My other favorite action scene is where Batman and Robin chase Freeze after the party. So Mr. Freeze tries to take a shortcut through the neck of a statue, and the whole chase continues in the arm of this gigantic statue. It's fucking awesome. I know that there's a lot of CGI in the scene, but I don't care. It's really creative and highlights the whole magnitude of this Gotham City. And another scene that I really love is the whole motorcycle chase, or should I say motorcycle race, that takes place in the midsection of the movie between Batgirl and Robin. That really takes Joe Schumacher back to the old days of the Lost Boys. And to be honest, this is a great scene. There are a lot of cool stunts and people flying from the motorcycles. It's awesome. And of course we have the climax in the observatory, and we talk more about this in the best ending category. Talking about the vehicles in Batman and Robin, the Batmobile here is not a famous one for being liked amongst the fans, but like I said in my ranking video about the best Batmobiles of history here in the channel, if you haven't watched, please check it out. If you take the carnival colors from the front of the car, it actually gets a lot better for me in terms of visual. And the interesting thing about Batman and Robin is that we have many more different vehicles that we haven't seen before in this franchise. For example, we have the Red Bird, the Robin motorcycle that is kinda cool. It's not my favorite. I prefer the Batblade from Batgirl that has bat fins on the back. It's much more cool for me. We also have the Freeze-mobile that I love it as well. We have the Bat-Hammer that is this Freeze vehicle for Batman. It's not my favorite, but it's okay. It's interesting. Then we have the Bat-Ski from Robin that I always thought it was cool, but it looks like a huge toy, I know. Anyway, we have a great variety of vehicles here. And taking all these points into consideration, I have to say the best action category goes to Batman and Robin. Now the best Gotham City, and here we all know that the gothic and dirty visuals from Tim Burton in his movies are gone, and now we replace everything with bombastic neon lights and a city that takes a lot more inspiration from Blade Runner, for example. It's almost like a previous version of the new Gotham from Batman Beyond. We have titanic statues, giant neon signs, everything is done to fill your eyes. And to get to the street levels that we had a lot in Tim Burton's movies, here we have the gangs that somehow became these factions of neon in the city. So there's a lot of inspiration from Clockwork Orange in here. And I gotta be honest, I really love these gangs from these movies. They're so over the top and big that it's almost like this city has become insane. And to be part of these gangs, it's almost like making a fashion statement. So basically the two Gotham cities are the same, so we have to make a more mathematical calculation to decide which one is better. I think in Batman Forever, we don't get to see too much of the city as we would like to. The most different place that we see is the circus, and like I said, some of the streets with the gangs. And in Batman and Robin is almost the same number of places. We have parties, we have the streets with the gangs, but there is one element that I think it beats Batman Forever because we hadn't seen before, Arkham Asylum. I absolutely love the Arkham Asylum of Batman and Robin. I think this should be the Arkham Asylum for every movie. And even the games, because we talk about the whole neon element of Joel Schumacher, But this design of Arkham Asylum is purely dark and gothic. We see the different sections of the prison, especially the place where they keep the villain's items. We have a whole individual tower just for the cell of Mr. Freeze. It's great, so I will not even waste more time. The bat nipples go to Batman and Robin. Now, talking about the soundtrack, this is something that I really love about both of these movies. In fact, I'm much more of a fan of these soundtracks than the first two movies of Batman and Batman Returns. I listen to these songs much more than the songs of those movies, especially from Batman Forever, where we have the U2 amazing song, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me, that has a great music video featuring the band in this incredible animation. An animation that U2 still uses in their concerts until this day when they play the song. In the same soundtrack, we also have the classic Kiss from a Rose from Seal. That is a very romantic song, and it's a great counterpoint for the craziness of the U2 one. And in the same soundtrack, we also have Offspring and many other bands that are really cool. Now, going to Batman and Robin, we also have amazing songs in there, starting by the most famous, that is Smashing Pumpkins with The End is the Beginning is the End, with a music video that features the band flying with the scenes of the movie playing in the background, and this song is fucking awesome. One of my favorites from them, and I love Smashing Pumpkins and all their songs. In the same album, we also have great songs of Goo Goo Dolls with Lazy Eye, Jewel with Foolish Games, a great dramatic song, and some very mass songs like R. Kelly, I know, with Gotham City. But in terms of musical taste, I gotta go with Batman Forever's soundtrack because Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me from U2 is my favorite song of all the four movies in terms of this album. So, bat nipples for Batman Forever. Now going to best story, I think I touched a little in this when I talked about the best villains, but let's go again. One of the things that I most admire about Batman Forever is how the script can juggle these five main characters, Batman, Robin, Two-Face, Riddler, and Dr. Chase Meridian, and give each one their time to shine on screen. I mean, Two-Face gets the end of the stick because his character is not very well developed at all, but at the same time we have here the romance between Bruce Wayne and Dr. Meridian. That is a little weird because she is wild when it comes to go after Batman and throw herself on him. But okay. But I do like the whole focus on Bruce Wayne Batman that we finally have on this franchise, and he trying to cure this guilt that he still feels. Plus, I love the whole plot of the riddles he receives from Edward Nygma, and even though it is simplistic, I do like that he has to somehow connect all of them in the end to finally discover who is behind the whole thing. Not that it should have been very difficult, but anyway. The whole villain's plot of stealing the intelligence of the Gotham citizens, it's very over the top, but I love it. And the relationship between Batman and Robin and the whole mirror image that I mentioned before, it's also great in my opinion. The only thing that bothers me a little is the fact that in the beginning of the movie, Robin is very useful. He saves the people from the circus, taking the bomb away from the place. He also saves Batman when he is buried by Two-Face after the party scene. But in the climax, he's just useless, man. He gets trapped by the villains 2 times and has to be saved 2 times in this climax. Which begs the question, why the hell did Batman take him along? And the same happens in Batman and Robin in the ending, because again, he's kind of useless in that climax. It doesn't really help, and Batgirl is the one who helps more with the satellite situation and unfreezing Gotham. Now, talking about Batman and Robin, the whole plot is much more Sunday morning cartoon, right? So there's no much depth in here except for the plot of Alfred being sick and the heroes having to save him, which is good because it gives a little more focus on this character that is so important for the Batman lore. But the rest of the movie feels empty. And I guess the script also juggles these characters okay. The only one who gets the end of the stick is Batgirl. And speaking about her, I gotta say, I like Barbara Wilson in this version and her role in the movie. She's very underdeveloped, and Alicia Silverstone acting maybe is not the best, but I think there is a lot of charisma there. And like I said, she's very useful as a partner of the trio, because not only she kicks Poison Ivy's ass, but she also helps with the whole satellite situation, because she's also a genius in computer systems, of course, but she's the one who unfreezes Gotham and not Batman or Robin. So I like her, and I think she's very cute too. With all that said and done, I still think Batman Forever has the stronger story, so bat nipples for it. And finally, the best ending. And this is interesting because starting by Batman Forever, I don't think anybody notices this except for me. But this movie is the only movie in the whole pantheon of Batman movies, including the Christopher Nolan ones, now the Matt Reeves one, that we don't have the villains trying to destroy Gotham City. Every other movie in Batman history finishes with the villains trying to destroy the city. So this is a very interesting asset that this movie has. The whole ending is much more about Batman and Robin having to escape from traps in the Claw Island, which is this hideout from the Riddler, that I think is pretty cool. This whole island that moves and is a huge base for the villains. But the whole sonar situation and Batman throwing the Batarang in the Riddler's machine, it's something that I never truly understood. We all know that a sonar, it's a device used in submarines, Mr. Wayne, submarines, like Lucius Fox says to Bruce Wayne in The Dark Knight. So why the hell did Batman needed a sonar in this room of the Riddler, where there is no illusion or something that is preventing his vision? Maybe you guys can explain this to me better in the comments, because I never fully understood this whole situation. I know that in the original script and the Schumacher cut, there is some kind of illusion thing going on in this room, so it makes a little more sense, but here I don't know. And the whole Batman killing Harvey Dent and Robin just watching was never something that I was crazy about, even though I really like the speech he gives to Riddler in the end, saying that he is Batman and Bruce Wayne and that's what he chooses to be. That is awesome. Now in Batman and Robin, I gotta say, I really love the whole climax in the observatory. I love that it is almost like this planetarium place with the projections of the planets around. We have an actual fight between Batman and Mr. Freeze that is pretty cool. The whole team of heroes work together to save Gotham City from being frozen, even though Batgirl does the most of the job. And I love Gotham being frozen. Like I said in my previous video about Batman Returns, I love Gotham in the snow or frozen. It's my favorite thing. But what really gets my heart in this ending is Batman actually helping Mr. Freeze even though they are enemies, which really shows the evolution of this character during the franchise. It doesn't make much sense that Batman and Robin saved Nora Freeze from being almost killed by Poison Ivy, because we never saw that scene, but the intention is what really matters. Plus, Mr. Freeze also helps Batman to save Alfred, so it's an ending filled with heart and light, which is very uncommon for these Batman movies. So I'm gonna give the final bat nipples to Batman and Robin, and he is the winner of this combat. I know many people might be angry saying, oh come on, Batman and Robin better than Batman Forever. And no, you don't understand. These videos are not to really tell you that one is better than the other. Like I said in my previous video with Batman 89 and Batman Returns, this is a celebration of these movies, and my categories should not be taken as a measure of comparison. It's just a video for fun and for you guys to comment below your opinions about these movies. And I have no shame in saying that I love both of them, sometimes much more than the following movies that we had. And these videos are here, like I said, to pay homage to these movies and also to Joel Schumacher who I really respect as a director. And truly, I love the man. His interviews were fascinating. He was a fascinating guy. And in my opinion, he should never have apologized for these movies to anyone, because he made my childhood and adulthood happy because of them. And I bet this is the same feeling for most of you as well. And this is it, guys. I promise that we are gonna have more Batman movies fighting each other in the future, even though this franchise here has ended. That being said, to see these videos in the future, you know what to do. Don't forget to leave your beloved like in this video and your most beautiful subscription in the channel so we can talk about Batman more and more in the future, and DC Universe as well. Alright? See you in the next Bat video, and bye bye.